Hi everyone, this is Prashad Parthiban. Today I am going to talk about the differences between coverage, conditions and exclusions. So first let's see what do you mean by coverages in P&C insurance. By definition, it specifies what is actually covered in the policy. Say if you have a commercial property policy, your policy will say your building, business personal property, business income exposures are covered if it is having any kind of loss due to some perils like fire, flood, vandalism, etc. etc. So in short, it will say what is covered and what are the different perils that are covered under the policy for a given exposure. What do you mean by condition? Again, as per the definition, it's nothing but the rules that must be followed by the insured as well as the insurer to keep the coverage valid. So whenever you get a policy, it is very important to go through the conditions. In this example, as you see, if you want a policy to be valid after a claim is created, you must maintain a functional fire alarm system in your commercial building. If it is not working, when the adjuster comes and reviews your building, then they may not cover the valid claim. So it's important you have to go through the condition. There could be multiple conditions. This is one of the example. Like if you have a claim, you have to report it within 15 days or 20 days, etc. etc. So conditions are very important when you have a policy. You have to go through that very carefully. The third important stuff is exclusion, right? So most of you would have heard about all risk policy, basic, broad, etc. right? So when you have an all risk policy, it means everything is covered. That means you have to pay a very clear or a very careful attention to the exclusion. In the exclusion, it will be very clear what is not covered. For example, most of the policies when you get a commercial property, flood will not be covered unless you add it as an endorsement or a separate policy. So if you are a customer or a broker, it is very important you go through the exclusions very carefully so that you have a very clear understanding on what is not covered. So quick recap, as I told you, coverage is nothing but it specifies what is actually covered. It will have two parts to it. It will cover whatever the exposures, building, business personal property or business income, and also it will cover perils that are covered like fire, vandalism, theft, etc. Whereas conditions are a kind of rules that must be met for the policy to be valid. In this case, like if you have a building, you may maintain a functional fire alarm system or you have to report your claim on time, etc. etc. Third thing is exclusion, specifies what is not covered. Like as I told you, in general policies, flood is not covered, earthquake is not covered. So you have to very carefully look at those exclusions to make sure what is not covered. Once again, thank you so much for your continuous support. Have a great day. Bye-bye.